Hello. Give us a nudge if you're out there. Welcome to Seller Sessions. I can start to see people entering the room here. Here we go. Do people just want to post? Let us know where they're from.
Things looking good. In the room. Yeah, numbers coming in.
Here we go.
Yay. Ireland, Michigan, San Diego, Colorado.
Bournemouth. MK. Where's MK?
Leamington.
Phil, is that Milton Keynes?
Milton
Yeah.
Keynes. Sunny Leamington. Hey, something's going on there.
Yeah.
Israel. Hi, Moran.
Len from Los Angeles. Is it hot
Ted in Dublin.
Los Angeles?
It's not Father Ted in Ireland, is it? No. Dubai.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. It's looking good.
Dubai, yeah. Fantastic. Okay, guys, welcome. This week we have Brad Moss. Say hello, Brad.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing? You good?
I'm great. Yeah, fantastic.
We're very lucky today. Brad, is it okay to mention that it was a bit panicky about getting you on, but you said, no, Dan, it'd be fine. We'll be good. So for the last week or so, I've been in panic mode because Brad's wife is 6 days into expecting. And so any time now she's due. But Brad's been kind and he said he made sure that he's going to be available for this. So, yeah. So hopefully his wife doesn't break between now and the end of this session.
Fingers crossed.
I was talking about it this morning. I was like, just hold out a few more hours. Good.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's get started then. Brad, do you want to just give a little bit of background on yourself? Obviously, we're doing this session is called Inside Amazon. You worked at Amazon for a number of years. Do you want to tell us a little bit of how you got started there and where you are today?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I could probably talk about my Inside Amazon experience for hours and hours. But when I started, I started Inside Amazon about 5 years ago, maybe a little more than 5 years ago. And started in there and actually started in a area inside Marketplace. So Amazon's big and vast, but Marketplace is the business team that runs all of the everything for third-party sellers. And so I started in there, and very first thing I did, I actually built, which not very many people know about. I built a service that was kind of a gamification for sellers. So we're going to give sellers some cool badges and indicators of like how well you're doing on Amazon and kind of some positive reinforcement. And I built that, and then we were about to launch. Some things happened, and some reorgs happened, and so then I moved into Seller Central. So because I had learned so much about just the whole system itself, they then put me as running the full Seller Central team, which was essentially there's 168 teams inside, or systems at the time. There's 168 systems on Amazon that contribute to Seller Central. Now, I wasn't running everything. I was kind of the central point where all these teams would come and converge and say, hey, I want to add something new. And so I set up all sorts of structure and saying, okay, well, you got to do this, this, and this if you want to be on the homepage of Seller Central, or you have to do these several things if you want to have a new tab on Seller Central. So, for example, the advertising tab that people go to all the time now, that they didn't have that for the longest time, and then we did a web lab to name it either marketing or advertising. We decided to name it advertising because more people responded to that. So that was when the sponsored product stuff started coming on for the first time. And then after my time there, I learned so much and kind of got things handled to a degree. I mean, there's a lot more that I wish we could do to Seller Central. There's a lot that is needed, I would still say, for sure. But
it's beautiful, isn't it? Beautifully.
In certain segments, right? Certain parts pretty, right? And,
yeah, when you log out, yeah.
Yeah, I could tell you. And then because of that, I gained so much knowledge there, and then also made a business plan to build a mobile seller app. And so I built the business plan, got it through all the approvals, VPs, SVPs, and we built the Amazon Seller mobile app that you guys see and many people use today to check their sales and to do various other things on Amazon. So after the launch of that, it was really successful. Amazon is pretty taxing to work for, at least for me in particular, and decided that I did my damage. So it was time to move on.
Can we back up on that little bit there? You say taxing. I can imagine as it's a company built on innovation, it's probably a lot of working around the clock, and there's lots of spinning plates.
Yeah.
And obviously lots of testing. Amazon's known for testing. So when you said it was a bit stressful for you, I mean, what kind of hours were you doing there?
50 to 80, depends on the week, 50, 80 hours. And what was stressful is the kind of stress that they present. So I did a lot of, particularly for my role and my job as a business owner, and I was kind of the mini CEO of my little business unit. So we wrote a lot of documents in doing what I did. And, at 1 week, I could write a document and it could be great. We meet with the VP and go through the numbers and it could be great. He says, okay, yeah, let's move on to, let's talk about this thing. But then the next week, he could find like one word in the document. He's like, well, what do you mean here? And then I have to back it up with data. He says, well, what do you mean by that on the data? And then I have to back that up by a methodology that I went through. He's like, well, why do you use that methodology? So it's like all these layers deep. So there's this stress at any given time. And this is kind of how Bezos is also.
Yeah.
At any given time, you could just be grilled on anything, any one thing that you were presenting to these people. And I was presenting a lot of stuff to them. So I could either work, the 80 to 100 hours on every single one of these documents or papers that I'm making for them, or I could work a 40-hour work week and see my kids at night. And it could be fine. So you never know, right? Like I never knew. I could work tons of hours and there could never be a problem. Yeah, with my paper, you could never dive into those papers or whatnot. So that was the kind of stress that just kept adding up for me at Amazon. And then there's also lots of other things it was one of the best working experiences I've had in my whole career. And I learned a lot, so much working there. And there's amazing things about working there. But for me, it wasn't necessarily a long-term thing. So.
Yeah, but you've taken what you've learned, and now today you've got Product Labs. Do you want to give us a rundown of what it is? Yeah,
so Product Labs, when we left, didn't necessarily plan on starting Product Labs, but had a lot of people coming to me and asking for help, consulting services, help selling on Amazon, and realizing and being where I was so close to all the engineers and working with them and the algorithms and all sorts of things, realized there was a lot about Amazon that Amazon did not explain to people. And that was one of my main jobs, actually, is figuring out how to take data that's important and explain it in a simple UI or put it in a nice location on Amazon. And there's just so much that not everyone can have it. And then there's lots of stuff that just never saw the light of day just because of resources. Amazon may not have, prioritized showing this one report versus another one. So there's lots of like these insider secrets. I don't know if it necessarily secrets. Yeah. Just some stuff that I learned that was really very useful for a lot of people. So coming from there, leaving, started helping a lot of people out and decided to build the consulting, kind of a management consulting company around selling on Amazon, and then additional markets. And we've tried to make it very simple as almost a one-stop shop where it's a really simple approach for us as we take on a client and we run their full Amazon sphere, their business. Now, we don't help them necessarily source products from manufacturers overseas, but once they have the product and they get it into Amazon, then we kind of take over and run the whole thing for them with the best practices out there. Cool. And you've got software that you're automating some of these processes as well, haven't you? Yeah. So I've been out of Amazon for about 2.5 years now, and the first probably year and a half of the company, myself and I have another business partner who's another ex-Amazon guy named Tim Hughes. He's awesome. And we have been building kind of the stuff on the back end, software to help automate what we're doing, help us be more efficient. Kind of a unique approach to the software building in general, actually, is that we build stuff, we're running businesses first, and then we're building stuff to support that. And so we really know the kind of software that we would love to have, both to support our big clients and our small clients alike. So we've built that, and we've built a lot of internal tools and systems.
Fantastic. So yeah, and that's so Amazon first 5 years, last couple of years has been product labs, and so here you are today, and you're about to share some stuff with us. So
well, I'll give you whatever I can.
Okay, so let's get into this, guys. If you've got questions, please post them in the chat box. We're going to answer them at the end. Okay, so let's go for the whole true and false, and we'll play a few games because there's obviously a lot of information out there. And I know you're not Jeff Bezos. You're not going to necessarily have all of the information, but it'd be nice to get your interpretation on certain things.
I would actually even be surprised if Jeff Bezos had all the information. It's Amazon. It's built in such a way it's scattered, so it's hard to find stuff sometimes.
All these different teams and stuff like that. But no, this should be fun. So let's start with TOS last year, October 4th. It all kicks off with the review situation, right? Now, I know you've shared some of this data before, that you discussed it. Talk to me about the 21 review concept and the banks of data you have to back it up, because I think our audience would love to know about that.
Yeah, so it's based on, so actually when I was first, getting into the space of looking at what this whole community is doing, the really hyperactive sellers who are doing lots of stuff, I was curious what the big fascination over reviews was. And because looking inside Amazon and coming from inside of Amazon, I was looking at reviews, and they're important, but I didn't see the two things didn't merit the focus that the community puts on the reviews versus from inside Amazon, because I had no perspective from what the outside community was doing while I was inside Amazon. I'd scour lots of data. I was like, yeah, reviews are important, they're good, right? But why is there such a huge focus on it? So this is outside of Amazon. A independent party did a full study on reviews and found that the review number did not matter once you got past 21 reviews versus the stars that you have. So stars, it actually didn't matter how many stars you had for the first 21 reviews. You just needed to get more stars, and sales would increase the more stars you had until about 21. And then after that, then your star count matters a lot more. So if it's, if you're 3 stars and you have 10 reviews, that's actually better than having 5 stars and 2 reviews, is what the data showed. And then after 21, then if you have 3 stars versus 5 stars, there's a big difference there and a big gap. So
what about happens when, when people go into high velocity markets and they've got people that got 2,000 reviews or 1,500 reviews? So the old system was to do giveaways and obviously build up the reviews that way and create that kind of velocity to offset against your competitors, to give you that visual understanding for the audience to say, actually, this is validated, this is a good product. So from that data, was there anything that showed that, the 21 rule, does that, not that it's a rule because it's based on aggregated data, right? But is there a way of demonstrating that you could go into a high velocity market and only get 21 or 22 reviews that are good reviews and still compete visually with the high velocity reviews that have got historic data built into them?
Yeah. Yes. So essentially that's what the data is saying. Now, you do have to think about a lot of other factors that are going on, and some interesting factors that are a byproduct of the reviews, of giving away a lot of promotions, is that you're getting a lot of sales on Amazon, even a lower volume sales. But with those comes the organic traffic that starts circulating once you're getting the sales from Amazon. Even though you're doing it for a review reason, there's actually other byproducts of that, and that your product's going to be lifting up. Yeah. So
I think our audience are quite aware of the byproduct in that sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let me frame the question slightly different. You decide you want to go into a market, and you see that page one, a lot of these products have got 500 to 1,000 reviews all the way down, and you want to get to page one. My point is the 21 reviews enough? So going back on your data, will it work in that setting, or is it works better when there's stuff with 200 reviews and you got 21?
So based on the data, and all things being equal, yes, you could go into that market. So now the next question would be, how do you get your sales velocity, conversion rates, your sessions, that whole thing to now match someone who has 1,000 or 10,000 reviews on their product?
Mm-hmm. Cool. Sounds good. Okay. Right. Moving on to the next one. You've got a review. So you've got some sort of review boosting service for negative feedback. Have you got any hacks here that you could share with the audience?
So, it's not necessarily, it's just what we've discovered to help reviews boost up. Primarily, everyone, from what I've seen across the board, reviews are down. The typical review percentage is between 1% to 3% from what we're seeing. So you sell 100 products, you'll get 3 reviews or 2 reviews. And that's basically what a lot of people are seeing. Now, that said, we've seen that doing some promotions actually improves that by about double. Where if you're doing some giveaways and some good items, that you can get as many as double, 5% or 6% review rate for your reviews. Now, it's not the same with the correlation of 1-to-1 like it used to be.
Right.
But,
and that's, you can say, a tight email sequence, follow-up sequence. Does that play a part? Yeah.
The email sequence definitely plays a part in that. You want several touch points and then try several things out and see what works. Try doing, the kind of the standard, like as soon as they order one, and then when it's out for delivery, and then 7 days later, how do you like the product? Based on your product, it could be 30 days later. Maybe you don't want to have 3 touch points, maybe only 2, because some people don't like the spam. But all that follow-up, the email follow-up, is very important to really boost and actually get more reviews.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's another thing, like obviously things that are not necessarily true but spread like wildfire, is saying that Amazon might be putting the kibosh on the email services, so they won't be able to access the APIs anymore. But obviously that's just hearsay. Now, we've had a conversation about this, and you mentioned that they've been scaling up the team in-house because we've seen emails that are coming from Amazon directly with regards to reviews.
Yeah. So here's the where some of our conversation was about is when I was there was the messaging service was owned by a team that had, I think, 3 people on the team, and they owned a couple of, like, 2 or 3 systems. This small team of 3, and one of the things they owned was the messaging service, and we were actually about to pull it underneath myself and my team too when we were there, or we were considering it. Now, it was really small and they didn't do a lot. So they focused on several other things and not a lot of the messaging. Now, what I've seen now is that there's been a refresh and update, and everyone knew it was old, and it was not a very good. The system did its job, but as you know, like the app, I worked really closely with it because the app, one of the few things it launched with was a messaging system because people wanted to be able to respond on the go. And so we worked with that team and got it integrated into the app. And now, since then, I've seen some updates to the Seller Central messaging system. And so that makes me think that they're actually giving it some time and attention. And it may be that they've added more engineers, or it's that it's now become a higher priority on their to-do list for the year and the tasks. I would be surprised if they took that service away. I'd be very surprised if they took that ability away from sellers to respond to their customers, their buyers, because they know that so many sellers do a great job and make it a really good, positive buying experience for people. And so
then the others who are spamming it as well.
And then there's others who are bad. So I think that's what they're trying to handle. it's always about customer first, right? And if sellers do a better job, then good for sellers, right? And then Amazon will help sellers do a better job than Amazon themselves doing it.
Yeah.
But if Amazon, in general, they think they can do things better themselves, that's why they started with Amazon.com before the marketplace. But the service, I don't see it going away anytime soon. Now, I'm not sure what the various sequencing, if they're going to try and limit people to send only a certain number of emails or what. I mean, they have control over all of that, which is good. But there's data that shows people have a positive experience with a lot of these sellers. So I'd be very shocked if that changed.
And are you using email sequencing in-house for your clients as well?
Yeah, definitely.
And have you developed your own system, or are you using a third party?
So at the moment, we're using several different third parties. It's actually dependent upon what the client prefers. In the future, we're looking into some innovations on the system, which we may do and publish.
And what are you finding on in terms of open rates? Are you using services that do have open rates, like Feedback Genius has the opportunity to? And what kind of open rates are you experiencing?
And actually, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know my team talks about the positive open rates. But so I'm not
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, another question for you. A lot of people talk about is that they drive external traffic to their listings, and in the belief that they get better rank juice by sending traffic from Facebook or third-party platforms directly to their listing, which is going to help enhance their rankings on platform. What is your take on that?
So my take on that is I would be surprised. I would love to see, first of all, I always want to see data. I'd love to see the data. If they have some, if people have some, I would be very surprised if that was the case, to be honest. Amazon has been trying to get away, and for a couple of these reasons, Amazon has been trying to get away from Google searches and Google ads that are driving traffic into Amazon. Amazon has to pay a lot of money every year for Google traffic. And actually, I don't know if you've shopped on Amazon recently, but have you noticed the charities that you can donate? You can donate money to. Part of your purchase goes to a charity. The entire impetus for that program was to make it so people go to Amazon.com first and not look at Google.com and then search into Amazon. They want people to be starting inside Amazon. And if you start inside Amazon, then actually guess what? A percentage of your sales goes to a charity, but that percentage is smaller than the amount that they have to pay Google. Right? And so that's the entire business. So everything's run with a business case. And that is the business case behind the charity. And it's doing good for a lot of charities out there. But the whole business case makes a lot of sense because they want people to start having the mental pattern to go to Amazon.com first instead of going to Google to look something up. And so I would be surprised if that was the case. But, again, I'd love to see data if people have some around that.
Yeah. I mean, in the last couple of years, as things have shifted towards apps, Google has lost some market share, and obviously they wanted Google Plus to work because that's that social element. I mean, I know it died, but that is a threat to them if people start with inside of the application rather than external on the search engine. So, that starts to make some good sense there. Back-end keywords, right? So, separated by commas, not separated by commas, 5,000 characters, only use 2,000 of the characters because it breaks the index. What's your take on that?
So my take on that is, again, I'd love to see some of these data points that people are pulling up about this. I wouldn't be 100% surprised if there was a 2,000 character limit on some of the data. Not that, well, first of all, that's against what Amazon has detailed out is the standard operating procedure for the back-end keywords, which just changed not too long ago.
Down a little bit. Sorry, So break that down. So it changed to 5,000 characters. So what's in the SOP there, if you don't mind? Just give us around the outline.
Yeah, so the SOP, I can maybe find the help note and link it at some point. But the SOP is 5,000. You have 5,000 characters to now put into it. So they've been able to open it up to a lot more than you used to, right? You used to have like 50 characters or however small it was. Now, and then also you don't need commas. It's just spaces based on spaces, and maybe the help note actually helps quite a bit in understanding how it all works. But it's interesting when you look at segments. So actually, Amazon. I know there's certain parts inside Amazon that, like different ad groups that have limits and character limits, but nothing from what we've seen talks about this 2,000 character indexing limit. Now, again, if there's some data, I'd love to see the data. I just haven't seen any yet that point to that empirically. But you got to understand that everyone's segmented, right? And so users are when you come into Amazon as a buyer, you get listed in perhaps 100 segments. Your male, are you over 40? Do you live in the US, UK? All the various different segments. And then Amazon takes the segments themselves and they stack rank the segments of which ones make the most money inside Amazon. And so if you're indexing keywords for the top segment groups, then those are going to be showing up more than ones if you're indexing versus segment groups that are lower on Amazon. So, that's just some stuff to kind of take into account that could be affecting some of the character limits of 2,000 to 5,000 characters.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Images, obviously very important. Give us your take on images, and have you done any like big data tests and seen some decent returns on quirky little things taking place?
Yeah. So to first answer the question, for the big data set, we haven't done any really strong statistical big data set with images. But in general, my advice is always make your product big. I've seen some people that add lots of logos and branding around their product. And so when you're searching for it, you don't even know what the actual product itself is. So make sure that your product is there and very big in the frame. Make it very prominent, particularly your hero image, right? And make sure it's very clean and don't have too much extra stuff around it in the image. Now, I've seen some, really effective, and this is kind of gray area, lifestyle images on some of the with some products. I've seen that be pretty effective in just the branding in general for products. Yeah. Make sure that's it's the brand quality and showing your brand and how high quality your brand is inside your listing. And so what you want to do is make sure you have images that do show that full picture there.
Cool. And another thing to chat about, we kind of covered this with Anthony Lee, and I think many Coates has brought this to the forefront as well regarding the canonical URL and about optimizing the canonical URL to get your keywords in there. Now, what's your take on that?
So actually in prep for this, I just did a really quick or Tim did a quick study, my partner, and basically it matters. Yes, it matters. Sequencing in order matters. For a quick example, type in green sweaters and then type in sweater green. You get a different number of results and some different listings based on the differences between swapping the words around. Cool. And so remember that, and you're doing your back-end keywords and your phrase PPC words.
Yeah, what you mean, including your phrase PPC words in the back end as well, yeah, as a phrase.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people obviously say as single words, but some people, I do the same on my campaigns, is cut and paste the phrase from all of my keywords, basically. Not that I've got the evidence for it, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so with that in mind, is there a way of controlling the order of the keywords as they go into the canonical URL?
I am not sure if there are. We haven't experimented with that. And I know there's some that have tried changing the name of the title to generate a different URL back and forth. We have not dove into that very deeply.
Yeah. Okay. And in terms of video, now that's a new thing that including videos on the listing. I understand you've got a service that is built around metadata. Do you want to give us a bit of a rundown on that as well?
Yeah. So, we're associated with this service, Amazon Product Video, or AMZ Product Video .com. And what they do is they basically, Amazon it's really early still. So this is kind of, first things out the door. And Amazon will probably do more and more with it as the year goes on. But sellers can come in and either get a video made with the service, or if they have videos, and submit the video, and it gets processed, and then it gets put up onto Amazon. Now, part of the whole submission process is, hey, give a bunch of metadata information about your video itself, and that includes like the type of video it is. Are there any influencers inside your video? What are the ASINs you want the video linked to? Now, those ASINs need to be what the video is about. It can't be competitors. That's against Amazon's terms of services, and the videos will get pulled, and even the distributor doing that could get pulled. So you have to focus on the videos that are about your products, but you can take one video and associate it with 5 different products, or 50 different products if you have 50 different SKUs of a blouse, right? You want to do a video about a blouse, and then it'll start showing up. So if you have at the very bottom of the page now, so at the very top, you have that one video, and that's kind of reserved for the A+ content if you want to pay Amazon for it or become a vendor. And then at the very bottom, it says related video shorts. And that's right above the reviews. So as people are scrolling down, they want to find out more information about the product. Right before the reviews, they're like, oh, here's a bunch of videos now I can see about the product. And the results that have come back from the customers so far have said that they've been seeing sales increase when they're having these videos, particularly products that need some explaining, need some more details or information about what the product is and what it does.
Cool. Jumping around, because obviously I'm trying to cover off as many questions as possible. We had Anthony Lee on a little while ago, and we were talking about third party and obviously Amazon selling themselves, and that the test shows on on a lot of the page ones, there's about 50 to 60, sometimes up to 70%. The ranking favors Amazon's own products. I mean, do you have any take on that at all?
So my take would be, I might have had a note on that one. You got to remember that all search ranking is based on product sales, and Amazon loves to favor their own things. That's for sure. But you have to also think about Amazon. There's a whole half of Amazon is the retail side of Amazon, looking for and finding products. And signing up people to sell their products on Amazon through Amazon by Amazon. And they use a lot of numbers and data to find the right kind of products to be selling on Amazon for them. Now, is it that Amazon is saying, hey, in the search result, if it's sold by Amazon, you get an extra point something % boost? Or is it just due to the fact that Amazon is selling products that sell really well, and so that's why they're showing up on the top of the page? I definitely know there's a correlation. I just don't know if there's causation between the two.
Cool. And customer service, you've got a SOP in house. Like we have to get past what we call the cock blockers, and so basically you phone up and then someone picks up the phone and they have no idea what you're talking about, and really what you need to do is get to the catalog team. And it's the biggest frustration for most people. I've tried numerous tricks, and it's worked in some cases, asking for a manager, having a conversation with a person, trying to blind them with a bit of science to go, oh, you don't cover this department. Can I speak to someone who understands this, And then they'll go missing for like 20 minutes on the phone. So what's the SOP? How do we get to the people we need to get to?
So, first of all, I think the customer service has gone down for sellers in the last several years. Since we were there, it seems like it's just gotten less and less effective for sellers. And maybe that's because sellers are more active. They're dealing with their brands, dealing with more issues. I don't know. I know the whole private label, since I was there, has really happened as after I left. The man next to me actually built the core program that I like to attribute the private label thing happening from his program. So it is hard to get to the catalog team. The SOP we use is that you go to make a new case, products and inventory. I have it written down, listing issues, and that you don't have an ASIN, and then you go to other.
Yeah.
And then you say, they put you in the general queue, and then you select option 2 for product page issues. And that gets us to at least it has in the past, to the catalog team.
Right.
Now,
okay.
Now, if you're speaking with someone who has a Hispanic accent or who have an American accent, most of the time you're in pretty good hands, because the customer service team in Seattle is good. And then there's one in, I don't remember where it is, Costa Rica, maybe Puerto Rico, not sure. But they're part of the catalog team, and they do a great job in helping things. Now, recently we did, we went through this, and then someone had to escalate our issue. They're like, oh, it's a issue 2. And so then they pushed us on to somebody inside the catalog team. So I don't know if things are changing internally, but generally that's how we do it.
And what about trying to, because I mean, a lot of us are actually marketers. I mean, Seller Sessions is about, in the main, is about marketing as well. The other frustration thing is trying to deal with the people at, within sponsored ads. I mean, have you managed to get in contact with anyone who's actually knows how sponsored ads works on the sponsored ads team?
Personally, well, we have a bunch of contacts inside Amazon, but you're asking how to get contacts.
Well, everyone knows how to get to the sponsored ads, but I mean, you could have a problem where you go over and over again. I mean, before Christmas, when we met up in Hong Kong, I remember speaking to you. There's a couple of issues. I had a PPC issue and I had a brand registry, and you kindly picked up the phone and took care of the brand registry thing for me. But on the PPC side, I must have sent about 18 emails going over and over and over again, and it was just like they just didn't even understand how Amazon PPC actually works. And I'd actually pulled up the information on the website and said, look, what you're saying is categorically wrong. Look at your information. It's like you're explaining it wrong. So is there any little hacks to get to the engineers or to the members of the PPC team who are knowledgeable, if you like?
Yeah. So how it works internally inside Amazon is they either have these customer service teams that are set up, and they handle issues. Now, as someone who runs programs, I actually built out a lot of these SOPs and the help nodes for both on Amazon, and then special help nodes for the seller support folks. So that was me. My job isn't seller support. It's to run the program. And so I set things up to help them. Now, if you want to talk to someone about the app, like there's no one from the app team that's ready to answer a phone call about it. Now, most teams are actually like that, in that most teams, there's an internal Amazon team. And so if an issue comes in, so if they had a problem with the app, someone's like, hey, the app's broken on blah, 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 whatever. Then it would come in through the social support team, and then they'd give the ticket to my dev team, and they put it in a queue. And now the queue, their queues can be really long, and they have lots of things to do. And so if it's marked high priority, then it's kind of put in the top of that queue. But in general, they just have this huge long queue list that all these engineers, they have a lot to do already with their jobs, and they can just go through and whittle it down. And so sometimes they'll get to your specific problem, sometimes they won't. And that's kind of like the most you can really ask for out of a lot of the teams, unfortunately. Now, if it's a persistent issue that they see across a lot of different sellers and a lot of cases are coming in, then there's definitely a higher priority for the team to fix that and and they'll probably talk about it internally, figure out, if there's a bigger solution that they want to put on the roadmap, or if it's a short-term solution they can do really quickly for it.
Cool. And I know that you've been out of Amazon for a little while now. So since the introduction of enhanced branded content, I mean, have you been implementing some of this for your clients? And what kind of experiences are you getting?
Yeah, so it's still pretty early in terms of if there's bumps in conversion rates or not, which is the real indicator. That's really the only thing that matters with the enhanced brand content is looking at your conversion rate.
Yeah.
But we do know that, indexing is not necessarily happening from the content on the enhanced brand content page. So you want to keep your descriptions on your product. You still want to keep all those descriptions on your product and even have those full of the right kind of keywords and optimization that you want for your product.
Product description.
Yeah, in the product description field, despite having even the exact same information on the enhanced brand content for the page.
Yeah.
So
cool. And what about AMS? Are you guys using AMS?
Yeah. AMS itself is kind of a hack. So
yes, no, totally. I mean, you got anything you'd like to share with the audience on AMS?
Just to use it. Primarily, it's use AMS if you can, or work with a team that can help you get on the AMS and to use it effectively.
Yeah. Cool. Should we start taking some questions from the audience here? Do you want to run through some, Richard?
Yeah.
I've got a couple here. So Terry was asking, what about 4 versus 4.5 stars? Does that make a big difference?
It makes it. I've seen a lot of people say it makes a difference. They've just their sales data goes up and say, yeah, it does make a difference.
And that's with going with what you said about the reviews earlier on as well. Links to that. Mm-hmm. Criteria around lightning deals. What do you need to do to be eligible? That's from Ari.
I actually don't have it right in front of me. It's on an Amazon specific SOP, a help file about the exact criteria that you need.
Okay.
I could look it up. Give me 10 minutes, but
no. Let's move to the next one. So Brian, his competitors still have over 1,000 reviews. Why did he have his removed and they haven't? Any insight on the on the drop in reviews on some places?
That is super frustrating. I know it's frustrating. And the first thing that Amazon did was say, anyone who says this product was in exchange for a review, which was the Amazon terms and conditions, right? Of saying, if you have a review that you've paid for, just put it on there. And so those are the first ones they targeted when they took them all off, which is unfortunate. And in terms of specifics about why one competitor got targeted versus another, I'm not sure. I think they're still scrubbing some reviews though. So.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for that. Next one, Stefano. Brad, what are the best things to do to start your sales when launching your product for the first time? You start from page 20. How do you get up? Can you list 3 items? No. Well, anyway, I think it's your launch strategy. How do you go?
Yeah. I actually have a long. I don't have it here. I have almost a full presentation about launch strategy. We call it spurring the machine. And there's different things that you want to do when you launch a product versus what the long-term play and long-term game of the product is. Now, the very first thing, basically in that strategy that we suggest is getting data around your product so you can take action on the data. So the first part of the machine is just getting it in there, getting it selling, seeing what your conversion rates are, seeing what your sessions are, get some PPC automatic campaigns coming in to start gathering keywords. And then once you have enough data gathered, then you make some optimizations to your product kind of week 2 or week 2 to week 4, you start making optimizations to your product. And then you push a lot harder with your ad campaigns and even do some promotions to boost up your review percentage for the product itself. And then after that kind of next phase, and there's like a long-term phase of figuring out what to do the next 3 months and then 6 months after that.
The science behind that. Then,
yeah. There's a few questions here on AMS. I just quickly run through these. Where are we? Just scrolling down. Phil, I've tried getting on AMS, but they say I need to be a vendor, not a seller, and point me to sponsored products. Yeah, you do need to be a vendor, Phil. Basically, you have to have a sacrificial lamb that you give to Amazon to spoil. That's the only way to get in there to open up AMS. There used to be a trick where you would just sign up for it and never send the goods, and they've since then shut that down. So the best thing you can do is go on to AliExpress, go and buy a piece of took, get a barcode, convert it to a FN SKU, and then create a listing, present that to Amazon, agree a price with them. If they agree to take it with them, they'll ask you to send some samples for free, anywhere between 6 and 20, if sometimes more. Just do that, send them the products, then that way it will open the doors. Once the labels have been printed for the collection by UPS or whoever the vendor would be, that's the stage of when AMS, and it should be up until recently, will open for you. Someone asked about AMS reporting. Watch this space in the next couple of weeks. That's all I can say. So stay tuned, and I'll let you know more about that. But yeah, the AMS reporting is dog shit at the moment, and so it's really bad. But there is someone's got some stuff in the works. So that's all I can say on it at the moment. But yeah, I'll keep you abreast over the next few weeks.
And you got to remember, we ask for things faster than the dev teams inside of Amazon can present things. So the AMS is still fairly new, and I'm sure it's built by a really small team. And you know, to give a bone at some of the guys at inside Amazon, I mean, you can only do so much with the small resources you have. And I agree, the reporting is terrible. But would we rather have AMS or without reporting, or have it with it?
Well, it gives you that competitive advantage. I mean, you live with the data. I mean, we can all complain that Seller Central doesn't look as beautiful, but at the end of the day, it pays us out every 2 weeks if we're doing our jobs right, isn't it? So you kind of have to live with it. Do you want to do some more questions, Richard?
Yeah. Deborah asked, what about third-party email services? Any insight on what's happening there?
So
we kind of covered that, but yeah, go on.
We talked about it a little bit. I don't think anything's going away from what I've seen with Amazon. It's as long as you do a positive experience for the customers, then then you should be all good.
Okay.
Cool.
KP's asking, what are your top 3 suggestions to get ranked on page 1 for your key search term? Top 3 suggestions.
Sell a lot of product. So, you know, we actually developed a method where we can get people ranked on page 1.
Feel free to share. No, we're that's what we're here for. Go on, Brad.
So we developed a method where we can get people to rank page 1 for keywords, right? And it involves doing some promotions and indexing several things, but just being on page 1 isn't the same as selling enough product to be and stay on page 1.
Yeah.
So like short-term boosts can be useful, but really you got to remember, this is the biggest thing, and I know it's really hard for myself included. Amazon it's a train, it's not a race car, and it doesn't go 0 to 60 like that. It's when you build a good product and a good brand and the whole sequence, it just starts moving forward, and it starts chugging and chugging and chugging, and then it's this big force, right? And so a lot of the small things and doing the long-term game with a lot of your products are going to be paying off if you keep doing them over and over and over again. And you'll start seeing some long-term results from things that you did a month ago or 2 months ago. And I know we always want to see, hey, I just made this change. When is it going to affect? You know, are things going up or down? But you got to remember that Amazon, the whole system is built to be slow, and it takes a while for things just to chug through the whole system. We usually say that a brand new product launched on Amazon takes about 3 months to finally hit its stride for where it's going to be.
Well, I didn't ask you that question earlier on, but we were talking about what we call the floating up period, where or the honeymoon period, as Anthony Lee would say. What's your take on that, with Amazon kind of showing the ankle of your product early doors to see if it converts? I mean, have you got anything on that?
So here's my theory. Well, first of all, we know empirically that eBay does this, and that you get a 2-week happy period with eBay when you launch new products there, and some other marketplaces that we've seen. Amazon, I think it's more of a, now this is just theory according to Brad, is that they don't have data on the product. And so all things being equal, they stick you right in the middle, or they stick you right in a particular spot where there's no data to push you up or down from that spot. And so we have seen indications that basically around the first 6 weeks, you kind of get an extra loft. And I think a lot of it has to do with Amazon systems not having data around your product, or enough data to put it where it wants to put it inside the catalog itself. I think it's more of a byproduct of that. But I do think that something happens for the first 6 weeks that you're launching a product.
Cool. What else have we got here? Question mark. There's loads coming in.
Yeah, John's got a question asking, does split testing your product title affect rank? This is how you do it.
Yeah, I guess.
Of course, yeah. If you're changing the title, you're changing your keywords. That's then going to have a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
So is there a good way to manage that split testing? How would you go about it?
Well, there's software out there, isn't there, like Splitly and other bits and pieces. And it's not true split testing either, because it's parallel testing. You have to run for a day, then another day, then run. Whereas a normal split test is sending 50% of the traffic to one version of the page, the control, and then you've got the variation page as well. Mm-hmm. But sorry, Brad, go on. You answer this.
No, that's the exact. I mean, that's really important to point out is that. When it's not a true A/B test, which you can't do unless you control, the full website. But I would say, what are you trying to? Maybe this is probably for a totally different discussion. But what do you want to accomplish? I know there's like a million things on Amazon that everyone tells you always have to do. So I know a lot of people just feel the burden of there's so much to do. I have to be doing this and this and this and this. There's a list of like 25, 30 things. What we would talk about inside Amazon are inputs and outputs. And inputs are things that you can control, like changing the title. Outputs are what happens because of that. So identifying those properly, and we do this with all of our clients, is we look at what are the key outputs that are important for your product. So, really it comes down to sessions, how many people are hitting your product, and then what your conversion rate is on those sessions. And then several other different factors in there. But if you're changing, my question is more, why are you changing the title? Are you wanting to get more sessions? Are you trying to rank higher? Ranking higher isn't necessarily correlated with changing what keywords you're ranking against. Ranking on Amazon is all about your sales velocity. And it's identifying what are those keywords that you want in the first place. And then, you can A/B test to specific keywords and see if those specific keywords changing your title helps that in one way or another. But that's all about in the end, that's going to be all about sessions. How many sessions you're getting that are going to be pushing your product. So if your sessions are not healthy, there's several different things you got to do. If your conversion rate isn't healthy, there's several things you have to do. And there's, like I said, I could talk about this for a long time about identifying what are the causes and what are the outputs that you're seeing, and that changes what inputs you want to be adjusting for your product.
Yeah, and it's probably good to point out is that you do need time when you are testing stuff. A lot of people are called tweakers rather than testers, and you're not testing the validness of your test.
Yeah. It's got to be at very least a week. At very least, I would say 2 to 4 weeks are much more accurate tests.
It's probably a good point to cover sessions, because when someone runs a test on the title, like you said, why am I testing my title? Am I after vanity rankings or am I after sales? That's really important to understand the difference between the two, because although position 1 and position 2 oftentimes have the higher velocity of visibility and the sales, that doesn't mean that's going to work the same for every single product. So you may find that you're chasing vanity, you go from 3 to 1, when really you need to be focusing on the sales element, not the vanity element, which is very hard to distinguish. So should we talk about sessions? Because a lot of people get confused without measuring those. Because imagine changing your title, you've got to know where you are. So where is a good point of setting up a test for things like that?
So actually, let me talk about two things. I won't try not to take too long. Sessions and conversion rates are really important. Now, the places you see those are in the The business reports, you can look at the page view or business history inside the business reports by ASIN and by parent ASIN. Sessions is, I think, probably the first column. Now, that's how many sessions are hitting that product. Then there's several other things, but there's a buy box percentage, and then there's also your unit session percentage.
Yeah.
And that's how many units that you sold. It's basically the units over the sessions. And that's essentially your conversion rate of how many units I sold, particularly if you have 100% buy box. How many units I sold over how many sessions that I had hit my page. Now, the average conversion rate for all of e-commerce is around 3%. On Amazon, we really like to get our clients up to a 10% conversion rate. I've seen as high as 60% conversion rates on some, and those are monster products. But that means 1 out of every 10 people, if it's 10%, 1 out of every 10 hits your page and then buys your product. Now, session is different than page view too, where the session is if someone's logged into Amazon, they could hit your page, jump out, go look at another product, jump out, go back into your product, and then decide to buy your product. That's one session because they're logged into Amazon. The page view is how many times the page just gets hit. So they could come in and out 10 times and finally buy your product. And so it's important to understand the difference between those two as well.
Yeah.
Now, the very first thing really that you should focus on, the number one thing is getting your conversion rate high or high enough to be effective. Because if you're driving tons of PPC and your conversion rate's not very high, you're just spending too much money to get people to come and convert on your product.
Cool.
Yeah, there's that, and then another one, but we don't need to go into it.
Cool. And what is it? Rowie, I think it is. What's the deal with the Amazon's Choice badge?
Yeah.
So Amazon throws out these badges all the time. And I think it's more of it's just kind of a nice, fun, I mean, it's a fun thing that some people get. And I don't know the full details between each one of them. Sometimes there's a bestseller badge. Sometimes it's a choice badge. Sometimes it's like top new product badge. And there's just a system inside Amazon that just throws these badges up in various different categories. And I've seen some categories do more of this than other categories. So I think this is actually turned on and off based on the category that you're in. But it's just a small indicator, and I don't have any data around what the sales boost is versus of people who have that versus they don't. We've had plenty of products that have gotten it. It's more of like a badge of honor of like, hey, good job. We just got the #1 Amazon, choice badge, for the next 3 days or a week or whatever.
Okay. There's another question here from Mamohu, I think it is. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Man Mohan. Apologies. How can you get your sessions up? I had a supplement which was taking £3 a click on PPC, but sessions never went over the teens. Conversions were around 20%. The first thing I would say there is that the relationship between your listing and your browse node, you may find that there's a lack of relevance there. You could find that it's broken in that browse node. There might be an engineering problem because that seems quite low for a supplement. The other end of the scale is that you have a super niche supplement. But yeah, 15 searches a day, there's definitely something wrong with either your title, your bullets, the keywords you've got in the back end. You may find that you're breaking the indexing. So you might want to use the KW index tool or something of the ilk to test your back end, because that sounds very low for a supplement. Brad, you got a take on that?
Sorry, I was taking a quick note. I thought I had. I would say it's exactly the back end. It's got to be correlation of what are you pushing your keywords for and how correlated are they with your specific product itself.
Yeah.
Because I agree. I mean, 20% is terrific, but to have just very few sessions, it's hard. And we've had several clients that have had this issue, and it could come down to just refreshing how your back end looks for the product itself and what your keywords are on the back end, to try and get more things, and that comes into the keyword strategies and PPC strategies
Cool.
that are out there.
Message from Terry here, an interesting one. Is there a service helping us find the phone numbers for our buyers from our Amazon, which they've removed recently? Obviously, because everyone was using custom audiences and obviously calling their customers as well. Any suggestions for appending email append services?
No, we don't have any. We don't dive into that space too much. Amazon removed it, and they're sensitive on
left it.
Those emails.
I mean, Terry, if you do a search for their email append services, I think Managed by Stats offers a spin-off. I don't personally use them myself. So yeah, maybe take a look at that route, or someone in the chat box may have some additional answers to help out there.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay. Go on, Richard, sorry.
Len had a question, but I think it's mixing up with images. So he's asking, what's a hero message for images? It's more the hero image, isn't it?
The hero is the image.
Sorry, I just meant the hero image itself. It's what's the main image that you use for your product?
It's the one that's really going to grab everybody's eyeballs.
Yeah.
Lisa was also asking, is there any available documentation on the segments and keywords? You were talking about that earlier on.
Yeah, there's no documentation about the segmentation, how Amazon does that for people coming in. The back-end keyword, there's a bunch of documentation through the help nodes, and we can find that help node and send it out. Or you could search Amazon's help nodes and look for it, but it's there.
Yeah, we can definitely go and have a look for that. Mike was asking, does changing your title bullets, etc., have a negative impact on your rank? He would like to optimize his entire listing, but doing it one area at a time. How would you suggest Mike goes about it? What do you tackle in what sequence?
Interesting.
So he's trying to optimize his whole listing.
Yeah, no, I think it's smart of making certain changes and seeing how that affects your conversion rate, which is the reason for optimizing the listing.
And giving it time.
Optimizing the front end of the listing. The back end is something else. So if you're going to be doing the front end, I would be watching your conversion rates. And I don't know if it matters too much. I always say that there's 4 factors that impact your conversion rate. One, it's your detail page, all the content in your detail page. I kind of lump it all together, the bullet points and the description. 2, it's your images that you have for your product affect your conversion rate. 3, it's your reviews on the product also affect your conversion rate. And then 4, it's your price versus your competitors on Amazon. So looking at those 4 different factors, there's multiple things that go into each of them. That's going to really impact your conversion rate if you want to get that higher in one way or another. So
that's a really good structure there to go through. I'm sure Mike will be happy with that. Now I've got another one here. It's my turn to have trouble pronouncing a name. So this is Bakui Du, I think. How do you send emails to your past order using buyer-seller message system when swapping email service? Does that make sense?
Like a third-party email service?
I think that's what he's talking about, yeah.
I know some of them will just kick it off. I mean, you can go in and say, hey, send to everyone who's ordered in the last 60 days, send these emails to them. You can go in and find all of your orders and all the Amazon email addresses for all the orders that you've had for all of history. And you can, send it through MailChimp or some other way of sending emails that way. But I'm not sure if there's it depends on the third-party software, and some of them do it, some of them won't.
Yeah, because Danny, I know you changed your email provider in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I switched over because the situation with open rates, you're flying blind. So I've got my open rates are about 32 to 44% generally. I use 1 or 2 words in the subject line, and I normally make it a question. So obviously, kind of takes the customer by surprise. So I'm asking them a very short question to engage them to open up the mail, rather than saying this is related to your order. I find that works quite well. And some of the prior tests I've done, I've found that sending more emails worked better than sending less. I went from 1 to 2, then 3, and then I found the middle ground, because a lot of my emails were about education, sending PDF infographics of how the product works, how to recharge, and things like that. And that reduced any negativity around the product, because I was getting reviews on this product for it to be used that it's not meant to be used for. So don't always think that email sequencing is about spamming your customer and begging them for reviews. It's also about educating them and obviously staving off the issue of possibly getting negative reviews as well.
Yeah. Actually, you should be going through all your negative feedback and put that into your email campaigns themselves.
Cool. Okay. We got any more questions?
Yeah, we got a couple here. So Alex is asking, any tips or suggestions on getting our brand gated?
So again, the Amazon is working on this whole conundrum here with brands and brand gating. We've heard there's lots of interesting stuff coming out on the horizon. There's teams working on it. Now, there are very special and few cases where you can get a brand gated, but it usually takes a lot of communication with Amazon and the right kind of communication with Amazon. And you got to have a lot of flagrant fouls against your product itself to really get brand gating. We've tried it on multiple products that it's not bad enough for them to gate it, really, is some of the responses. And then we've had a couple where it's really bad. We'll gate your brand for you. So,
okay. Another one I've got here. This one's talking about the GS1 barcodes. It's from John. Most of us have third-party UPC codes for our older products. Will Amazon target them? And what if you want to be brand registered but have old codes? Any insights on that?
So, sorry, you cut out a little bit. Say that last segment again.
He's got GS1. He's talking about GS1 barcodes.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying lots of people have third-party UPC codes for older products. They're not GS1.
Mm-hmm.
Will Amazon target the old codes at some point going forwards? We've already heard some news about that. But what if you want to be brand registered but have old codes? Is that likely to be a problem, do you think, going forwards?
No, not a problem at all. Right. Actually, part of the brand registry system and the way it was used for, and still sometimes, is you don't need any barcodes. You don't need UPCs or GS1s. Right. You don't need anything. You can just get a straight GSID number from Amazon. And so sellers finally could actually, with this brand, the brand gate or the brand registry, put products on there without getting any barcodes. Now, it's always better to have a barcode, gets you more secure, but if you wanted to do it without barcodes, you could.
Okay. Do you have another one?
Is there any more questions? What about over on YouTube? Because obviously we're split on the platform. We're on Webinar Jam and on YouTube. But do we have any questions to take over there?
Yes, there's a question. Quinzales. I am brand registered and brand gated. If I don't put my brand name on the title, will my listing still be restricted?
Yeah, I don't think you need it on the title. You need it on the brand and the manufacturing area. But I've never read anything that says you need your brand on the title itself.
Okay, great. Another one here from Brent. Enhanced reporting and data for AMS anytime soon?
Yeah, we'd kind of discussed that. I'll let you guys know in a couple of weeks. There's someone's working on something, and that's all I can say, but I will update everyone.
Okay, Patrick's got a problem that I've heard of before as well. Amazon has changed my title, and I can't get them to give me back the ability to edit however I want to. Any
Brad
suggestions?
Fixed my issue, didn't you? Do you remember with the brand registry? Yeah. We got you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah. So there's this whole hierarchy of who controls your ASIN, and this is one of the main reasons I usually steer people against becoming a vendor or a vendor through Amazon, because as soon as they touch it, Amazon has authority over your product itself. And it can be very hard to change it. It means you can't change it inside Seller Central. Anything you change will not stick. And so really, the only thing to do, I mean, if you're holding on to this and you just want to make one or two changes, you call into Seller Services and ask them to change your title for you, and they'll do it. It'll just take a couple days, but it's not as easy as going into the UI and changing it. But but they'll do it and change it for you. And you have to, unfortunately, you have to do that every time there's a change to your product. Once Amazon has basically marked your ASIN and done something to your ASIN, because they now have full authority over it.
Yeah, you made Danny very happy when you fixed that problem for him.
Yeah. From friend here, I can answer this one. If you are automatically on page 1 for a small niche, would you still advertise? Sales are very slow. So obviously Brad will have a take on this as well. But from my point of view, if your sales are slow, but you're on page 1, like you said, you're in a small niche where there might not be the search volume across any keywords or search terms. Or it might be the fact that you're looking at the wrong search terms or keywords for your for the ranking, and they just might be very long tail that don't generate the traffic and stuff that you need. So my advice is to run some PPC just to get some data from your PPC to make it more informed decisions. That's a great tool for research, and obviously it won't hurt you to run an auto campaign on that as well. Although you'll get some junk in there, it's worth seeing what Amazon is seeing with regards to your listing.
Yep.
Brad?
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
A quick one here. Terry, she said, I've heard having multiple browse nodes can hurt you. Is this true?
I don't know. I haven't done a study to find out whether that hurts you or not on your product.
Okay. Claire asks, how many keywords would you recommend having that actually perform within a sponsored product ad group? Does that change by match type?
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So you can put in, what is it, like 10,000 characters for an ad, and really it comes down to what are you spending your money on. If you have 10,000 but only 10 are really performing for you, then dump the rest because you're not getting any performance out of those. And go through it, dump those, and if you want to find more keywords, try some more with another campaign later. But if you get the best ones, take them and do a convert some of those into phrase matches and exact matches on those. So it's more about performance that you're seeing out of your keywords. You could fill them all up, but if they're all performing amazing for you, which I've never seen, but maybe they are, and keep them all there. So
okay. John's asking, are things like badges on images likely to A, improve conversions or sessions, or B, get you in trouble?
Oh, if you put your own badges on there.
Yeah.
On the main image, I think he's talking about.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I have not done a study around that. I would love to hear other people's data around it. I mean, so the best thing I have to go off of is Amazon doesn't like that stuff. It's against some of their terms of services. So it's kind of a gray area, I would say. I've seen some people put like 4-pack on their product.
And then they use the Amazon tick underneath.
And they use the Amazon.
I've done it not with using Amazon, but I've run some tests, and that's only small. So you need to do your own tests. But I found it didn't make any improvements to sales whatsoever on the test that I run. But again, very small. It's not like I've done this across hundreds of listings to give you any verified data.
Okay. Roy is asking, does using the same keyword on the detail page and search terms hurt you?
No.
Duplication, front end and back.
It's just duplication.
That's the worry. Yeah, no problem with that. That's all good. Mel would really like to know, how does Brad do promotions? And are they at a deep discount?
Yeah, so we do, there's lots of different promotion services out there, and most of them, give the same result. You get a promotion out to people who want lots of promotions. And it depends on what you're trying to do with the product and what your goal is, whether you do a deep discount or just a certain degree of discount. So that would depend on your strategy. So sometimes if we want to really push something up in a keyword rank, we do a deep discount for a short amount of time to push it up, but then that has to be coupled with more of a longer term strategy of boosting up sales in other ways too. So promotions are really good and really effective when actually coupled with email campaigns of doing email follow-ups and saying, hey, we'll offer X% discount for the next time you purchase this product. I know you bought this and it lasts 30 days and you should be out just about now. Buy again, and here's a 20% off coupon. So that kind of stuff is pretty effective as well.
Cool. Should we take a couple more and then we'll do the refunds tool giveaway?
Yeah. Terry is asking, would you do both AMS ads and sponsored ads? If you have the option for both, you would.
Yep.
No brainer. Beoquidu is asking again, what's a good session percentage you can recommend? We haven't looked too much into session percentages ourselves. We mainly look at the session number itself and try and drive that up as much as we can. So,
cool.
Okay.
So we'll give away. Can you post the link into the chat?
I can. Bear with me just a sec.
So, guys, this is our spreadsheet refund tool. The directions of what to do is in there, so that you can go to Amazon and start claiming back the monies that they owe you on your returns and stuff. So instead of having to pay out for a service, it's quite straightforward. There's 3 or 4 tabs. You run 2 reports in there. In tab 1, it'll give you a breakdown of the steps of what you need to do and then copy down the formulas. So you don't need to be an Excel whiz. You just need to follow the 5 or 6 steps. And from there, you can start raising cases. Try and not do over 5 at a time. That's normally the optimum. And then as you close a case, open a new one and do 5 transactions at a time. If I get a chance, I'll give you a cover template as well, which I'll post into the comments.
That's fantastic.
Cool.
Really good.
That's
right,
cool.
Brad. So let's wrap up. Where can people reach you? What services, etc., they can come to you for? Obviously, we've got a lot of big Amazon sellers here. So
yeah, cool, great. Yeah, so you can reach us at either Brad at productlabs.net or our website is productlabs.net, and you can go to the contact us link there. And then we have, again, the video service. If you're interested in getting some videos up on Amazon, amzproductvideo.com is the website. And go there and check out the service, and you can ask whatever questions. The team will be able to respond to you there. And then lastly, we're actually working on some interesting software that is in a totally different vein from everything we've seen other people doing, which means it could be useless or it could be really useful. For us internally, it's going to be quite useful for understanding a little bit more about your business, particularly for private label sellers. So we have a link on our website to sign up for a beta for that if people want to check that out. It's under productlabs.net/tools is for that beta, and that should be coming out in the next month or 2. We'll be opening up that beta. So.
Excellent. Okay, brilliant. Look, Brad, thank you very much for coming in. I also want to let everyone know our next session is going to be on Wednesday, the 8th of March at 6:30 p.m. I won't reveal who it's coming, but I think these guys are going to really enjoy it. Again, thanks for coming in, Brad. I want to say thank you to our partners, Web Retailer, Escape the Rat Race, and Source from Asia. If you want to reach out to me, you can get me at danny@sellersessions.com. If you want to get to Richard, it's richard@sellersessions.com. Website is sellersessions.com. If you would like to become partner, again, drop me an email to danny@sellersessions.com along with any questions, etc. So again, guys, thank you very, very much for spending some time with us, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks all.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Bye.
Thanks.